Sure.
And Becca responded to it and said, my word count is still 0.
That's very fun.
Because she's not writing.
That sounds like a thing Becca would say.
What?
I said that response sounds like something she would say.
It does sound like something she would say. That's a very Becca thing to say.
Still 0.
Still 0. Too many children. Can't write with that many kids. Well, maybe you can. Someone can.
What?
I said, can't write with that many kids. And then I said, well, maybe you can. Somebody can.
I don't think anybody can.
Not us. Not somebody out there. I'm sure there's some author out
Writing?
there.
Wow, do they have 3 twins? Or
They have triplets and one older son.
nobody's writing books with triplets, babe, unless they're rich. I promise you.
I want her to come on right now. Becca, are you here? I can't see who's on. It's not alerting me the way that it usually does. I can see how many people, but I can't see who. Where's Becca? Becca, where are you? It's funny. Becca, come be funny.
If you watch Zoe, do you think you could have written while watching Zoe?
Yeah. But there's only one Zoe.
Even that. I feel like when I watch Charlotte, I would not be able to write.
Oh, there have been times when I did work while watching Zoe. I would find activities for her. Like, I bought her that table so that
Even
she
when
could
she was, like,
slime.
2
Hey,
years
Jess. Yeah, when she was 2 and I would watch her like multiple times a week regularly, what I did was I had that little slime table and I would get her little activities and I would set her up on like time like things. I'd be like, okay, now you have 5 minutes to play with slime, and I would sit her little desk next to my desk and I would do orders while that was happening. And then sometimes she wanted to sit in my lap and help me print things. So she would, and I would, oh, hey, Becca, Becca, we were talking about you. Hi, Becca.
That's always great to hear.
No, Becca is loved. She's fine.
I'm kidding.
Yay, book club. And then we're going to go to this Patreon thing.
Patrone.
Wow, why didn't they call it Patrone?
I know. It's crazy.
So crazy.
He looked pretty Italian, too.
Who?
The owner?
He did?
He kind of looked Italian.
What?
What do you think he looked like?
Generic white dude.
I bet he has Italian ancestry.
I don't think that's true.
Really?
He didn't look like he had even one Italian feature. Being on your lap printing things, I've never done that. No, Zoe would sit on my lap printing things, not
Becca
you.
used to sit on your lap.
No, too adult, too scandalous. No, Becca, we were talking about your funny comment because right before I got on live, I saw your comment that said my word count is still 0, and Secret Boyfriend said, doesn't she have triplets? I said, yes, and one older son. And she said, honey, no one's writing when they have triplets. And I said, I'm sure someone does. And he said, if they're rich.
I think Becca's going to agree with me here.
Yeah, so he was giving you a pass for not writing due to your number of children. He thinks that you're busy. Weird. Are you busy? Because you have so many children? I think the funny thing is this, like, there are a lot of people, for example, Secret Boyfriend brother, who wants to have a gajillion children, and that's great, and I support them, and I think that that's wonderful, but they're all different ages, including one that's 12, so a little easier. But I think having 3 at the same time is a little different.
But he has an affair also.
Oh yeah, he also has an affair, but also like Becca didn't plan to have triplets. She wasn't like, I think I should have 3 at once. That'll be great.
Almost nobody wants that.
Yeah.
Except for like Mormons, I guess.
I guess. But they're so cute, and she dressed them as Wreck-It Ralph characters.
That's adorable.
It was so cute. It's so many, but now that they're here, we love them all. It was just, a surprise. You didn't plan for it, but they're loved in the aftermath of their showing up. Yeah, because they're real cute. One is too many for me, so props to you for surviving that. Yeah. Props to Becca for surviving 3 at once. I feel like that's just it's a lot all at one time.
It's impressive.
It's very impressive. I love that she had one, and she was like, I don't know if I told you
One
this.
more to go.
So she had one. She had her older son Max, and then they were like, "Okay, let's have one more," which is a totally normal thing to do. And then they were like, "That's not what happened." I think it's funny. It's a good thing that Becca has a good sense of humor. She'd probably be really. She texted me something that can't be put on TikTok. She said her first reaction to finding out that she was having triplets was, "Oh no, I don't have that many boobs to feed them."
That's a good point.
It's a very good point. she doesn't have enough to feed them all at once.
She's not from home.
What's that?
It's a movie.
Do they have 3 boobs? Grace said that's a very fair reaction. It is. She said, "I'm not a cow." It's true. She's not a cow. No cows here. But Becca, aren't you so glad that you got 3 cute ones? What if you had had 2 cute ones and 1 uncute one? Would that have been so depressing?
She's a mom.
Yeah, but I've seen them. They're actually cute.
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, moms don't go, I got no go.
I mean,
Or do they?
have you met my mom?
Your mom is huge moms for you.
Well, she's the only one I have. She's the only parent I have. I used to be scared because one looked like an alien. They did? Which one? Who looked like an alien?
The one we named Alien.
No, she doesn't have Miles? No, my baby. He does not. Don't say such a thing. He's so cute. You can't say that. Becca! No, I'm sorry. I refuse. They're just barely 4 now, Brittany. They turned 4 on the 30th. They're Halloween babies. Well, almost Halloween babies. I still consider it Halloween baby. They're 4 and they're very cute. And Miles is so stinking cute. So I don't know what she's talking about. He's got the cutest little baby face. Yeah, he's the smart one, the one I was telling you about.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Or I guess they don't call it autodidact when it's numbers, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, that's probably it. He's had a big brain we had to grow into.
Yeah, but he doesn't. His head is not unproportional to his
Well,
body. He has a
he
perfectly
grows it
proportioned
eventually.
body. He does not have a big head. My mom said all of my babies look like aliens to start. Womp womp. Misshapen because he was literally in my pelvis for months. So painful. Oh, well, that happens. I think that happened. That happened to Zoe also. Both Zoe and her brother have they have birthmarks right here on their face that you can't see anymore, but they had them when they were born, and when they're angry, they come out. Or at least Zoe's does. Her brother hasn't really been angry yet.
You can see his still, though.
A little bit. It's fading.
But you can see it.
Yeah, but Zoe's faded.
Yeah.
Yeah. We brought him to the doctor, and they knew he was a multiple. Yeah. There's just no space for that many babies. He was like, "Where am I going to go?" And he decided on your pelvis.
How many people have more than 3? Or what's the most anyone's ever had?
I think like 8, right?
8?
Isn't the Octomom that like one
How
that's
can you
had?
fit 8 babies in person?
I would not like to find out.
That's
Just-
impossible. She had to have been like bedridden.
Yeah,
like,
from
most of
early
her life.
on. Yeah, they put them on bed rest like right away
That's horrific.
because how are you gonna walk like that?
I don't know.
Yeah, really unfortunate. I mean, smart because I watched them hit each other on the ultrasound. That's really funny.
How could you not lose your mind from that?
Yeah.
It's like, you're like, okay, well, you have how many months more? 7 months, you're going to have to lay in bed all day.
Yeah.
That's like a nightmare.
It happens to some people who don't even have multiples.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. 10. She said 10. 10 is the most.
That's insane.
That's so uncomfortable. They had to be tiny, though. I bet that they were like... See, that's the thing, though. The more that you have at once, the smaller that they are.
Sure.
Because there needs to be space for all of them. And that's not healthy. Like, 3 is pretty normal. Like, people have triplets. I mean, not... Go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah. So Becca's saying the NICU nurses were pretty impressed with the size of her triplets after she had them, even though they were technically still small. Oh my gosh, you're going to read ahead of us, Kayla. We're doing that as soon as we're done with this. But I think like triplets is the most that's like kind of normal that like regular people have. You know what I mean? That you hear about pretty often. Like I went to school with a couple of sets of triplets and things like that. But I think anything above triplets, it's like, wait, what? You know? Oh, that's okay, Kayla. We're all dying to read it. We just had already started this one. But Brittany is our next book. Brittany is our next book. So this piece of hair has gone rogue.
What? Rogue.
Do you see it?
It's doing some curly, cool stuff.
It's just sticking out from my head.
That's fun.
Have you seen the Freddy movie? I have not and probably will not. It's always that piece. I know, Becca. It's true. There's something wrong with that growth spot on my head because this piece always does weird things. No matter how many times I've cut it or regrown it or straightened it or curled it or whatever, it always sticks out. It's weird, right?
It's an oddity for sure, but I have 9 cowlicks on. Yeah, so
You don't have 9 cowlicks.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
That was fake. He went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He's lying. Don't listen to him. Don't say 9 like it's a shock because it's not real. He probably has 1, 2, 3, 4.
1.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's read. Oh, while I have you guys here. Oh no, Brittany, that's not good. While I have you guys here, I'm thinking about doing a roll for slime live tonight. I know we didn't plan it in advance, but I'm gonna, when this live is over, I'm gonna post the sign up sheet on Patreon. So if any of you are owed a regular roll for slime or a couple people want to jump in on a group roll for slime, probably gonna do one tonight. Love is when you know how many cowlicks they have. It's true. Love is when you. Well, I am a frequent hair toucher.
It's true.
It's true. All right. So who needs a reminder of what happened at the end of the last chapter before we get into it? Because things are getting wild. This is not like the other book where we were in the land of the stories the whole time. We're bouncing around from place to place. So if you don't remember. We would never have guessed since we have video of you touching his hair. That's true. You do have a video of me touching his hair. He was sick. Poor sicky boy.
Sick boy.
He was a sick boy and we were watching the football boys. It was a whole thing. This is really good.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome. I do like it.
This is how it should be forever.
Forever? Well, yesterday we had peanut butter. That was good too.
This is even better.
Okay.
I like peanut butter, but this tastes really good. You did get filtered, Becca. I don't understand why it, of all the things, I don't understand why it literally filters someone who has mod approval on my page. Like, makes no sense. Of all the people to get filtered, why someone who has access to like literally block people? Oh my gosh, did you guys see my new nails? Look at Nancy. Ooh, Christmas. Anyway, let's read. We have landed in Neverland. I'm always filtered on the lives that I'm a mod for. It's awful. It makes no sense, Heather. It makes no sense. They need to get it together. They need to figure out their ish and not filter mods. Because generally speaking, if someone's a mod, I want to hear what they have to say. I want to hear what everyone has to say except the trolls, if we're being perfectly honest. So filter the trolls and leave me everyone else. That's all. Now you have heard my soapbox for the day. Sometimes it puts me off in the... That's fair. That's totally fair. I think that happens to everyone who's a mod. It's being weird, generally speaking. Yes. I'm so annoyed that I'm not getting notifications. Well, we haven't started yet, Amanda, so you didn't miss anything, thankfully. Okay. That totally makes sense, hydrofilling. I mean, like, I think Becca gets upset sometimes when she's modding as well, and sometimes she goes off, and sometimes the other mods do too. All right, so we're reading chapter 16. We have, as of the last sentence of the last book, traveled to Neverland, and now everybody except for Jack and Goldilocks are in Neverland. Jack and Goldilocks stayed behind to watch the book to protect everybody. Okay, it's called Ditching the Darlings. Alex and Connor stepped through the beam of light and left the witch's castle and the land of Oz behind. They waited as the words from the news story built an entirely new world around them. The Tin Woodsman, Red, Mother Goose, and Lester arrived a moment later and observed their newest location in wonder. "Extraordinary," the Tin Woodsman said. "I've never seen a place like this." "It's spectacular," Red said and placed a hand over her heart. "Look at all those elegant buildings, the lamps, the paved streets. I wasn't expecting Neverland to be so sophisticated." "Guys, this isn't Neverland," Connor said. "We're in London." They were standing in a small square park bordered by streets and rows of tasteful houses. It was very late and all the street lamps were lit. The twins were very amused by how much classic English neighborhoods enchanted their friends. The Tin Woodsman and Red didn't care what this place was called. It was still as marvelous and foreign as anything they might have ever seen. "Hello, London," Mother Goose said. "Boy, we've had some good times here, haven't we, Lester?" Lester nodded with large eyes, remembering things very differently. Connor picked up a copy of Peter Pan and tucked it safely into Lester's saddle. A horse and buggy passed them on the street. The driver wore a tall top hat and a thick mustache. Red and the Tin Woodsman gave the driver a friendly curtsy and bow. He stared at them very strangely, as if his mind was playing tricks on him, and continued down the street without acknowledging them. "What year did this story take place in?" Mother Goose asked. "Is it before or after the Great Fire of London?" Purely curious, not that I had anything to do with that." "It's the early 1900s, Alex said. "Mother Goose, have you been in this story before?" Red asked. "London is just a city in the other world, and it's where this story begins, just like Kansas," Alex explained. "Then I'm afraid to ask how we get to Neverland," Red said, already dreading it. "Hurricane? Earthquake? Sinkhole?" "Of course not. That would be ridiculous. We fly to Neverland." "Fly what?" Mother Goose asked. "Mother Goose, I can't believe how unfamiliar you are with these stories," Connor said. "After all the time you spent in the other world, how do you not know about Peter Pan?" "I was too busy spreading stories with your grandmother and the other fairies to read any of them," she said. "Who is this Pan fellow anyway? Is he a pilot or what?" "Right now, he's our only hope of finding and stopping Uncle Lloyd," Alex said. "Come with me. We've got to look for him." Alex hurried down the street, and the others followed behind her. She carefully looked over every house they passed. Occasionally, she would climb over a gate and peer through a window to see inside the house. "What are we looking for?" the Tin Woodsman asked. "The Darling House," Alex said. "Peter visits the Darlings' nursery at the beginning of the book. I should know it when I see it. Everyone, please be quiet." Without warning, Alex pushed her brother and Red into the flower bed and dragged the Tin Woodsman and Mother Goose and Lester behind the pillars of the porch they were inspecting. A man and a woman emerged from the townhouse across the street. The man promptly locked the door of their home and escorted the woman down the street. They were all dressed up in a suit and gown and were mid-conversation. "I'm telling you, George, I know what I saw," the woman said. "Mary, your imagination has run off with your mind," George laughed. "I was not imagining it," Mary insisted. "Last night, after I read the children a bedtime story, I sat sewing with the children as they fell asleep, and I saw him, a boy, outside the window of the nursery." "My dear, there's nothing outside the window of the nursery but air," George said. "Well, he was floating," Mary said. "Nana saw him too. She snapped the window shut and he disappeared." "Imagine that," George said. "Don't mock me, George. I wouldn't say such things if they weren't true. Anyway, he left his shadow behind. I put it in a drawer for safekeeping. I do suppose he'll be coming back for it." "His shadow?" George couldn't believe the words coming out of his wife's mouth. "Mary, I've heard enough. You've been cooped up with the children far too long, and you need a break. Now, let's enjoy the rest of our night without any more talk of such nonsense. I beg you, please." George and Mary turned the corner and disappeared down another street. "That wife sounds like a loon," Mother Goose whispered. "No, she's telling the truth,"
Alex said. Any minute now, Peter Pan and a pixie named Tinkerbell will appear at the window of the nursery. I have to admit, I'm really excited to see them. Everyone stared at the tall windows at the very top of the townhouse and waited for the boy and the pixie to appear. They waited and waited, but nothing was happening. They watched the windows until their necks started to ache. The others had seats on top of the steps of the townhouse, but Alex stayed put. She wasn't going to miss anything. Any minute now, Alex said cheerfully. We'll grab him and we'll ditch the darlings and we'll head to Neverland. A couple of hours later, there was still no sign of Peter Pan or Tinkerbell. They heard a couple of voices and everyone's heart jumped. This was it. They quickly resumed their position behind the pillars and the flower beds. However, it was only George and Mary returning down the street on the way to their home. This isn't right, Alex said. They're not supposed to be back yet. Peter Pan should have taken Wendy, Michael, and John to Neverland by now. As Mr. and Mrs. Darling walked up the front steps of their house, Connor felt a soft breeze. He looked down the street and saw a young boy peeking out from behind the neighboring house's chimney. He flew from one chimney to the next, creeping closer to the Darlings' home. Guys, Connor whispered, look, it's Peter. They all turned in the direction Connor was pointing and saw the boy who wouldn't grow up himself. He had messy auburn hair, rosy cheeks, and clothes made of green and brown leaves. Peter hovered behind the chimney of the Darlings' neighbor house until George and Mary went inside their home. As soon as they shut the door, he dashed to the windows of the nursery, all while never casting a shadow upon anything below him. Alex pointed at the window and it locked before Peter got there. He pulled on the window, but it wouldn't budge. He grew very worried and looked inside. When he didn't see anything moving, he lightly knocked on the glass. Tink, Peter whispered. Tink, are you in there? Did that woman trap you with my shadow? When there was no response, Peter's posture sank and he dropped a few feet in altitude. He quickly flew off into the night, searching the sky and the street around him. After him, Alex told the others. We can't lose him. They followed Peter on the streets below, chasing after him as if he were a loose balloon. It became increasingly difficult to keep up with him. The longer he searched, the less inclined he was to stay in line with the streets. He flew over several streets at once, jumping from neighborhood to neighborhood. We're not going to find him at this rate, Red said. I agree. We're rats in a pigeon chase, Mother Goose said. Lester, why don't you fly after him? Wait, Connor said when something caught his eye. Look, over there. He pointed to a small park in the center of a neighborhood. Peter Pan was sitting on the very top of a statue. His face was buried in his crossed arms. He appeared to be crying. The twins and their friends snuck into the park as quickly and quietly as they could, which was especially difficult with the Tin Woodsman's heavy metal boots. Should I say something to him? Connor asked. No, let me, Alex said. I know exactly what to say. She tiptoed right up to the statue where he was seated. Peter was so upset that he didn't even hear her coming. Boy, why are you crying? Alex asked, quoting the story she knew by heart. She startled him, and Peter abruptly shot into the air. When he saw it was just a girl, he posed mid-air with his hands on his hips and slowly descended to the ground. Who are you? Peter asked. My name's Alex, she said. These are my friends. She gestured to her brother and the others, and they walked farther into the park. Pirates! Peter screamed when he saw them. He shielded Alex and pulled out a small dagger. Don't worry, Alex, I'll protect you. These aren't pirates. These are my friends, Alex said, and they aren't going to hurt anyone. All adults are pirates, Peter said and waved his dagger at Connor and the others. But I'm only like a year or two older than you, Connor said. I'm only like a year or two older than you, Peter repeated with a funny voice and an ugly face. Are you mocking me? Connor asked. Are you mocking me? Peter said. Dude, stop it. Dude, stop it. Gosh, you're immature. Gosh, you're immature. Connor was beyond annoyed and grunted heavily. I know staying young is your thing, but you really need to grow up, dude, he said. I know staying young is your thing. Peter stopped mimicking him and looked at him curiously. Wait, how did you know that? Alex took this as an opportunity to reposition herself between Peter and the others. We know about you and about Neverland, she said. We're waiting for you at the Darling house, but you were super late. Well, later than you were supposed to be. What took you so long? Peter put his dagger away and continued to eye them curiously. I was looking for Tinkerbell. She's a friend and a pixie. Last night, Tink and I were listening to Mrs. Darling read the fairy tale to the children, and Mrs. Darling saw me outside the window, and I left in a hurry. I left so fast that my shadow stayed behind, and usually Tink is right beside me, but I couldn't find her anywhere, and I've searched the entire city, but she's gone. Do you have any idea where Tinkerbell might have gone? Alex asked. Would she have gone back to Neverland? Connor asked. No, Tink doesn't like to fly alone, Peter said sadly. Now I'm all alone without a pixie or a shadow. Why is the shadow such a big deal? Connor asked. Peter looked at him as if he had insulted a family member. A shadow is a friend that never leaves you, he said. But yours did, Connor pointed out. It wasn't his fault, Peter said. He was hoping the Darling children would wake up and their mother would read them another bedtime story. Shadow loves fairy tales. A perky smile came to Red's face. Oh, which fairy tale was she reading? She asked and ran her fingers through his hair. Cinderella, Peter said. Red slumped. Oh, she said with a disappointed sigh. You didn't miss much. She dies in the end. Peter's mouth was agape and his eyes became watery. Alex grabbed Connor's arm and pulled him aside. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? She asked. That this kid is psychotic? He asked. No, about Tinkerbell, she said. It's not a coincidence she came up missing the same time our uncle entered the story. Oh, right, Connor said. Obviously, yeah, Lloyd kidnapped her. He probably used her pixie dust to travel to Neverland and recruit Captain Hook. That's not all he's using Tink for, she said. Just like he used the silver shoes on the Wicked Witch, he's got to have leverage to bargain with Hook. And what does the captain want more than anything? He wants to kill Peter, Connor said, trying his best to remember the story. Uncle Lloyd's going to give Tinkerbell to Captain Hook so he can use it as bait for Peter? Precisely, she said. The twins rejoined their friends and the age-defying boy. Peter, we know where Tinkerbell is, Connor said. Where? Peter asked. He was so excited that he flew a few feet into the air and hovered right in front of the twins. A very bad man has kidnapped her, Alex said. He's using her to recruit Captain Hook and the pirates into a special army he's forming. Will you take us to Neverland? With your help, we might be able to stop him and save Tinkerbell, but we won't know until we get there. Of course, Peter said. Follow me. Peter shot into the sky like a rocket and disappeared from sight. He had completely forgotten to take the others along. That kid has some serious ADHD, Connor said. They waited for a few moments and were relieved when Peter finally returned. Sorry, I forgot to give you the magic pixie dust, he exclaimed. He reached into a small pouch on his belt and threw a handful of shimmering dust onto each of them. Pow! Bam! Kaboom! Shazam! He said playfully and pelted them with dust until he had none left. None for me, thank you, Mother Goose said when it was her turn. Last time I had pixie dust was 1964, and the next day I woke up on top of the Brooklyn Bridge with a tattoo of John Lennon on my ankle. If we're gonna fly to Neverland, I'll just ride Lester. Suit yourself, Peter said. The rest of you, think lovely, wonderful thoughts. This was easier said than done. The group had an exhausting and stressful couple of days, and thinking of something cheerful enough to fill their bodies with joy was rather difficult. Oh, come on, Peter said. None of you can think of a single happy thought? You must be the saddest bunch I've ever met. But I can't think of happy thoughts, the Tin Woodsman said. I would need a heart to do that. Just by mentioning the heart, the Tin Woodsman rose a few feet off the ground. He hovered with his limbs spread out like an astronaut and spun like a wheel. It was a very odd feeling, and he wasn't sure if he liked... Yeah, that's not what I thought she was going to say either. The twins and Red were very impressed by their levitating friend. Still manifesting a thought of pure happiness was like finding water in a desert. Peter became antsy. He had never had such trouble teaching someone to fly before. Well, if you can't think of happy thoughts, try thinking of a happy memory, he advised. I hope you have at least one happy memory. They closed their eyes and searched their memories, looking for that one special moment in their past when they had been the happiest. I'm thinking of the time that Mrs. Peters told me that I was a good writer, Connor said. I'm remembering a time when Grandma told us that we had magic in our blood, Alex said. Alex and Connor slowly rose into the air and grabbed each other's hands to steady themselves. The weightless sensation made the twins laugh. They felt like they were swimming in a pool and on a roller coaster all at the same time. Nice work, Peter said. Now it's your turn, Princess. It's Queen? Thank you very much, Red replied. Red was having the most trouble of anyone, which wasn't surprising after the devastating week that she had endured. She was afraid if she became too in touch with her emotions, she might sink into the ground immediately. Come on, Red, Connor encouraged. You can do it. Forget about the wedding, Alex said. Remember the time you were the most happy. Red closed her eyes tightly. I'm thinking about the day that I became queen of my own kingdom, she said. She opened one eye to see if it had worked, but sadly, she was still on the ground. A memory wasn't going to work for her. Everything she thought of only reminded her of Froggy and how much she missed him. So instead of looking into the past for happiness, Red looked into the future. I'm thinking about the day that I get Charlie back and I get to slaughter Marina like the cow that she is, Red declared. The young queen propelled into the sky like a firework, screaming as she went, and she rose higher than anyone. Her friends cheered and clapped for her. Red twirled through the air, fighting to keep the layers of her dress down, and eventually she managed to straighten herself out and look down at the others in fright. She couldn't believe how high up she was. And away we go, Peter said, and flew off into the night sky. Mother Goose hopped onto Lester's back, and they followed the boy. Alex, Connor, Red, and the Tin Woodsman just bobbed up and down in the air like parade balloons. Floating was the easy part, but learning to fly took some work. At first, they tried swimming through the air, but they only tired themselves out. Eventually, they discovered that by putting pressure on their feet as if they were pushing against an invisible kickboard, they could maneuver through the air. A few moments into it, they got the hang of it and soared after Peter and Mother Goose. Peter definitely took the scenic route on the way to Neverland. They circled above the Tower of London and looped through the Tower Bridge, narrowly avoiding the steamboat passing under it. They flew above the Thames River and snaked through the heart of the city. Peter got so close to the water that he splashed the twins behind him. They zigzagged through the steeples of Parliament and spiraled up to Big Ben. Peter playfully kicked at the small hand of the giant clock, setting London back an hour and causing it to send a powerful chime through the city. Because of his size and stiffness, the Tin Woodsman wasn't flying as agilely as the others and kept bumping into things. He ricocheted off the roof of Parliament like a pinball. Sorry, pardon me, excuse me, my fault. He apologized to the steeples, chimneys, and flagpoles that he slammed into. They flew down Whitehall and over St. James Park and towards Buckingham Palace. Oh, what's that? Red yelled when she saw the palace. That's Buckingham Palace, Alex said. It's where the monarchy resides. Red was mesmerized. What a stylish and tasteful place. Look at that statue out the front of it in the middle of the street. That looks exactly like a statue that I want to build in celebration of Charlie and my wedding. Red left the others and flew down to the gate. She peered through the bars of the palace in delight. She had to hang on to the bars tightly because the fairy dust was making her drift back into the sky. One of the palace guards on duty saw Red and stared at her in disbelief. It wasn't every day he saw a floating woman at the gate. Yoo-hoo! Red called to him. I just love your hat. Please tell the current monarch that Queen Red of the Center Kingdom says hello. Connor flew to the gate and pulled Red's hand off the bars. Red, come on, you're going to get left behind. The palace guard fainted. Red and Connor rejoined the others. Peter led them higher and higher into the sky. They left London behind and headed for the stars. For a few minutes, the twins forgot all their worries. They didn't feel the angst of tracking down their uncle or the burden of stopping him or the fear of what might happen if they failed. All the twins felt was freedom and the cool night air against their faces. Their spirits soared high as their bodies. They shared a smile knowing this was an experience that they would remember for the rest of their lives. They looked back and saw not just London, but the whole world beneath them. They had left the Earth's atmosphere and the air traveled with them. Say, where is this Neverland anyway? Mother Goose asked. It's the second star to the right and straight on till morning, Peter called out. Just as he said it, an unusually bright star appeared in the sky ahead. The closer they flew to the star, the more they could make out a small island floating in space. We've made it, Peter said. Welcome to Neverland. Aww. I have a second star to the right, too. I don't know if you guys know that. I have a tattoo of the second star to the right. Boop. These are my stars. It's the second star from the Disney movie, obviously. That's what they look like in the drawing. Second star to the right and straight on till morning. You knew that, Becca. Of course you knew that. All right, it is time for me to go. I'm going to post the sign-up sheet on Patreon for anyone who needs it. And what else? I forget who has a tattoo sometimes. Who has what tattoo? That's fair. I have a number. I think I have 10 of them, so
you know, it's easy to forget what I've got going on when there's so many. Deborah has a bunch. You should send me pictures of them. I love seeing them. You guys, wait. I don't know if you guys knew this. Anyone who's into tattoos, the woman who is my main tattoo artist is on the TV show Ink Master right now, which is pretty exciting. I've only watched the first episode, but she is a contestant on that show, my tattoo artist. Not Rowan, not my sister-in-law, the other one. I have two people who do my tattoos. Rowan would be an amazing fit with Deborah. She should totally get something done from Rowan. That would be amazing. That would be such a cool, like, convergence of worlds. It is. It's streaming only. It's on Paramount Plus and I think Hulu. Yeah, it's called Ink Master. And the woman on it who is my person's name is Coral. You will immediately recognize her stuff because it looks just like the stuff I have on my leg and on my arms. Yeah, me too, Becca. I did as well. I love Ink Master as well, Amanda. Love Ink Master. It hasn't been on in a while, but then Coral, who does my tattoos, posted that she was going to be on it, and I was like, yes. I'm rooting for her big time. You guys should all root for her as well. I will tell you that I went on the Ink Master Instagram. It's back right now, Amanda. It's back. The first 3 episodes are up. I went on the Ink Master Instagram to like the post of her to like support her, and I made the mistake of looking at the comments, and people in the comments were like crapping on her style, and it took every ounce of willpower in my body not to scream at them in the comments. I didn't. You should be so proud of me. I didn't scream at anyone in the comments, but all of them are evil and they should feel bad. Because all the people in the comments were like, that style's never gonna last. What's that tattoo gonna look like next year? It's gonna be ugly. And I wanted to be like, I am proof that that is not true. I've had these for years and they're beautiful and she's stunning. So all of you should, things I can't say on TikTok. But I didn't do that. I was just supportive. Right, exactly. It's like literally, I'm like, this is the first one I got from her literally years ago, and you can see how beautiful it all still is and how detailed it all still is. Like, look at those petals. She's a freaking master. So, the people in those comments don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. I just got my first slime. I love it. Thank you. Oh my gosh, which one was your first slime, Bernice? Which one was your first slime? I know they do show some of their previous work, but yeah. And I have this one too. Still very detailed. I don't remember the name, but it looks like what? Oh, creepy. So nice. Yes, I do dye my hair. I do indeed. I mean, I don't personally do it. Someone does it for me, but yes. Okay, I am gonna go. I will be back tonight for, you're right, I was born this way. I was born with pink hair. I will be back tonight for Roll for Slime, and I will see you all later. Have a great rest of your day, and I know, right? Yeah, it is a miracle. It's a miracle that it grew this way. It's magical, really. Might as well just be a unicorn. All right, I love you guys. Bye.